are able to show their animals. We do have some exhibitors that are showing probably in both rings, so there might be a little bit of chaos at times, but just show each other a little bit of patience, and we're going to have a good sheep show and a good goat show here. So again, we're going to start market goats over here. We're going to do ewes over here. All right, as we get situated here, we are going to start the show off with our national anthem. So if you would remove cover, there's a flag hanging over here in the roof, and we will get started with the show. Because we have all these.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars
All right, thanks everybody. I know it's important to get sheep ready and goats ready, but national anthem is still a very important thing, and we recognize that in the livestock industry. So we're going to start over here with the ewes. We're going to start with the goats over here in this ring. Again, we are live streaming this through Showbarn Flicks, so if there's a lot of noise and chaos around you and you're not sure what class is in the ring, hop onto their Facebook and grab that video stream, and you can see where we're at and what class we're in. So thank you all for being here and joining us. It's going to be a great show.
All right, in the ring now, we have Class 1 of the breeding ewes. I need Class 1 of the junior market goats to be making your way up to the ring. Class 1 market goats, if you guys would start making your up to the show ring. Do you want to announce? And Bruce is going to work the ring? This is our first call for Class 2 white-faced breeding ewes. First call, Class 2 white-faced breeding ewes. If you guys can start making your way up to the show ring now. All right, this is our final call for Class 2 white-faced breeding ewes. Class 2 white-faced breeding ewes. You guys should be in the holding area now. Again, I need Class 1 market goats to be lining up by the show ring. Class 1 market goats. Market goat exhibitors. We will have divisions. At the conclusion of Class 3, we will have our lightweight division. At the conclusion of Class 6, we will have our middleweight division. Class 7 through 10 will be heavyweights. Again, we will have divisions in our market goat show. After Class 3, lightweights. After Class 6, middleweights. And after Class 10, heavyweights. All right, if we could have Class 2 market goats. Class 2 market goats, if you guys could start making your way up to the holding area.
Well, good morning. Certainly a privilege to be with you all this morning. Look forward to working with not only a very, very deep, high-quality set of youths, but even better set of young people. I think the first class we get out here in our Dorset's very competitive, very close, especially between the duo that are going to go 1 and 2. I think both very similar in terms of their quality, but subtle differences that sort for me. The young lady that goes ahead and wins, maybe that one's underlined just to... Check 1, 2. A little better there. Like I said, the one that we start with, maybe just a bit shallower there at the base of her chest, like that one's underlined and progression there as we study them from the side. But the true sort and to that, why that one wins, just her body shape is just a bit better, a little smoother there from her last rib back as we handle through her loin, and yet we get her in motion. Initially, maybe wanted to not cooperate right out of the gate in terms of an initial impression. I think as we get that one collected and settled down, that one's build and squareness at the ground, certainly good enough for me to go ahead and use her to win this particular class. The young lady here in 2, that one does present some class advantages in regards to height at the point of her shoulder, maybe lower stifle and lower leg shape there. Just to me, maybe not as shallow and freaked out in terms of the base of her chest, just a bit rounder there when we handle her loin, and gets a little bit narrower there in terms of her pin set. But that's one high-headed, tall-shouldered ewe that certainly gives a good look there in motion and on the stick as well. The one here in 3 on the prop, that one's round-bodied, stout there at the surface. Love that one's rack shape and body wall there, just as we get that one in motion. Maybe a little tighter, more restricted off of her rear 2, maybe a little rounder and steeper there out of her hip. But that's one moderate, opened up ewe, I think still very, very high quality. Going we round out our class with, I think very similar regards to her body shape, like that one in terms of her width. As we study her from this particular viewpoint, we just step back, and that one gets just a bit softer to the touch, maybe just underline and height. The shoulder doesn't wedge just quite like I like it to. Young lady, you do an awesome job. Let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause.
Mic check.
Yeah.
There we go. Testing. All right. Great morning here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I appreciate the opportunity to get to evaluate the goats here. First time to judge in Wyoming, and I started the goat show off with a really nice class here. I think the young lady's Weather that wins it does pretty handily. You look at this goat, just really like the way he's built. Big rib. Heavy muscle, just a good design, good profiling. I like his silhouette. Big-footed goat, just kind of wins the class pretty handily. We'll follow him in here with the paint goat here. One that when you step back and study these on the profile, they're pretty similar. You get over the top of him and touch him, and he just doesn't quite have the muscle and power. Isn't really ready today in terms of just being correct in his condition as far as the one that beats it in class, but a good built goat that's super sound and big-footed. We've got a little challenge here in 3rd and 4th. You study these 2 goats, they're very different, they're type and kind. I'm going to go with the one that's a little more powerful, a little bigger ribbed, a little bigger footed goat here in 3rd. I don't like him right behind his shoulders. He's a little weak in that spine. When we get him on the move, he doesn't step out quite as free and fluid as we'd like him. Where we give those advantages to the 4th place goat, just a goat that's stronger topped, just one that doesn't have enough muscle for me today to move ahead of the one ahead of him. Really good solid goat here in 5th hole. This goat's just a little more immature, doesn't quite have the muscle power and grow. We've got a goat that rounds the class off with a good solid goat that just needs a touch more muscle from front to rear. Good class. Let's give him a nice round of applause. An excellent set of goats.
All right, results from our white-faced breeding ewes. Class 1 our first was Raina Johnson, 2nd, Addie Cortez, 3rd, Reese Gorham, and 4th, Remington Rolfsmeyer. Now in the ring, we have second class of white face breeding ewes, which means I need my first class of speckle face breeding ewes, class 3 speckle breeding ewes, if you guys will be making your way up to the holding area.
So he's not going to get results. We just need to write down the top 3 for him in each of the classes, and I'll give them to him so you can get them lined up. So like, you can just write class 1 and then do 1, 2, 3, and then the next class 2, 1, 2, 3.
Results from class 1 market goats. First was Molly Oakley. Second, Keith Page. Third, Corbin Jaggers. Fourth, Cassidy Jaggers. Fifth, Tanya Walker. And sixth, Emerson Olson. Now in our goat ring, we have class 2 market goats. Class 3 market goats, this is your first call to start making your way to the holding area. Again, as a reminder for our sheep and goat exhibitors, we will have goat showmanship at 2 o'clock. We will complete goat showmanship before we start sheep showmanship. So again, that's a little bit different than what the schedule says, so make sure you're keeping track of that. We will start with goat showmanship at 2 o'clock. The order of those divisions is seniors, intermediates, juniors, and pre-juniors.
So I couldn't do waybacks on anything because our scale got screwed up back there. So. Well, no, everybody has been telling me that it's not right. Like Greg Vetter came up and told me that it was 10 pounds off.
I think everyone probably was pretty nervous because
Well, we didn't do waybacks last year.
the next year we're going to do waybacks.
I'm not doing this next year, so I'm gonna be on a beach this time next year.
Should I announce some sponsors?
Yes, does Mom have a list for you? I'll go get the script. If they're gonna do this U division before I get back, these are for the white face division. The goat ones are right here.
Also for our goat exhibitors, we will have divisions in that show. So our lightweight division will be after class 3, our middleweight division will be after class 6, and our heavyweight division will be after class 10. All right, over here in our breeding sheep show, I need class 3 of the speckle division to be making your way up to the holding area. On the market goat side, class 3, you guys can start making your way up to the holding area as well.
Well, another very good class of our Dorsets in our youth show here, and I think kind of same song of the previous class. I think there's a lot of subtle differences to sort through within not only the 4 that we have out here, but particularly these top 2, I think offer a lot of trade-off. The one I choose to start with, we just step here to the 3/4, and once you determine that her chest sits right and her neck set is acceptable for you, I think there's just a lot more body shape, pin width, and progression as we work back from this particular angle. I think she's a little more flexible as we set her in motion, and there on the side view, I think her feet and legs are just a nickel more flexible, more reach underneath, and still I think her underline is the biggest hang up for me, just a little harder in terms of her body and her flank there, but I think just as we try to check the most boxes, I think her hardness of handle, her firmness of touch, and her extra pin set give her the nod to go ahead and start this particular class. Now I'll tell you the first thing, that one's the one we have in second here is just a bit more seamless in terms of her top line. No matter if she's in motion or on the stick, we asked them to get out of them there on the side, and I think she holds her top line together just a bit better, like her flank and her depth there as we work our way back on that particular female. Like we said in our class advantages on the one that starts, just not as much pin width there, a little flatter there as we view her forerib, and just not as much of her as we study her behind. I think a very, very solid U, though, just in terms of her symmetry, her lines are very, very good. The one we have here in third, very, very long in terms of her neck. Love her added stoutness of feature there as we work to the surface. Just a bit rounder there out of her hip, tapers there to her lower stifle, and still I think just a bit more over condition as we view her to the 2 ahead of her, but I think that that one's front 1/3 in terms of quality checks that box for sure. Young lady, you do an awesome job. We want to round out our class with stout, moderate, powerful female. Like we mentioned though in our 3rd place Dorset U, maybe just working a bit more condition over her forerib and body wall there. Just need to trim her up and elevate her there in the front 1/3 of her body. Awesome class though. My congratulations to all of them.
All right, over here in the breeding sheep ring, we will have our selection of our champion and reserve champion white-faced breeding ewe. After the conclusion of that class, we'll have our Speckle breeding ewe division. Results from Class 2 white-faced breeding ewes. First was Taya Winden, second Reese Gorham, third Hannah Schick, and fourth Arabella Rolfsmeyer. This is our final call for Class 3 market goats. Final call, Class 3 market goats.
Well, we get our Dorset U's back out here, and first and foremost, let's go ahead and give all 4 of these young ladies a big round of applause. Great way to get the day started, and I think like we echoed in Class 1 and 2 there, just a lot of differences to sort through and where you want to place your priorities, just where you draw the line in the sand. On some of those, I think you might land a few different places, even within class, and how we line them up. To me, though, I think there's one just a bit more fault-free in regards to her underline, and still gets out in motors with plenty of build, plenty of squareness, and still very stout and powerful as we view her body shape. And then, to me, it becomes a bit closer between 2 of them for reserve there. I'll set the mic down and show you the 2 I like, but go ahead and give these individuals one more big round of applause.
Results from our white face division in the Breeding U show. Champion was shown by Raina Johnson, and our reserve champion was exhibited by Addie Cortez. Now entering the ring, we have our Class 3 Speckle Breeding Ewes. Class 4, this is your first call. Class 4 Speckle Breeding Ewes, if you would start making your way up to the holding area now.
A little more challenging class here in Class 2. I think there's a lot of give and take in these top 4 especially, and you study them for what they bring out in the ring. The young man's paint goat, super stout, really wide built one that just explosive all the way through the center part of his body, handles with the most power, just a big stout one. You know, you get him on the move and he's not moving well, and I would just wish he'd show himself off just a notch better out here in the ring. But you really got to appreciate the amount of power and the width and dimension that he's bringing out here in this class. The black goat, one that's a little tough to analyze just when you step back off of him due to his color, but you get over the top of him. Pretty impressive in terms of rib shape and power and muscle. Not quite as expressive in his top line as far as that rack shape goes and that loin edge. But one that, you know, you keep studying him. I had him anywhere from second to third to fourth, and you just kind of move him around, and you really see how good and complete this guy is, and I think we're going to roll him up here in the second hole. Got a lot of give and take in these next 2 goats. One that initially I had in second place in terms of the power and width that this guy has, and you study him, not quite as impressive in terms of his hair coat and his hide. One that's big-footed, though, and big ribs, shallow-chested. He's got lots of muscle. You start handling him down his top, he wants to wash out in that loin just a notch more. Isn't quite as expressive in the rack as the 2 ahead of him. He's got some muscle and power. We just like to freshen, smooth up that top, make his hide and hair just a notch more attractive. But this guy's stout. I think he's got a great future. The one here in in fifth. This guy parked. I like him a lot better than I do on the move. He gets a little softer in his spine. Just gets a looser in his overall design. But she gets him propped up. He's very impressive from the profile, the silhouette. We get up over the top of him. He's given up quite a bit of power and muscle, especially the top 2. One that I just like to add more shape to and maybe pull him apart through the center part of his body just a notch more. We study his bone work and his stoutness. He's just getting a little frailer compared to the rest of the ones in the class. Young man that runs up in 5th, this goat here is just pretty solid. You study him. I really like the way he handles down his top, his rack, his loin, just really fresh and really smooth and impressive down his top. Doesn't quite have the center stifle and the overall width and dimension to play with the 4 ahead of him, but Good class. Let's give them a nice round of applause for another good class.
Class, yeah. Well, just through class 3, and then I'll go give that to him, so that way he knows which one needs to be.
All right. Now entering the ring on our Market Goat show, we have Class 3. Results from Market Goats Class 2. First, Dominic Maldonado. Second, Keith Page. Third, Paige Farley. Fourth, Clancy Conklin. Fifth, Tyron Goss. Sixth, Dally Horrocks. Seventh, Peyton Thompson. Eighth, Molly Stanton. Ninth, Cheyenne Goss. 10, Jordan Christensen. 11th, Tipton Sturkle. Again, now entering the ring, we have Class 3 Market Goats.
Well, as we begin our whiteface division, certainly 3 that are awfully different in terms of their type and kind, and you have to just make some decisions. And to me, just basic fundamentals of muscularity, stoutness, and shape. The young lady in the pink shirt, that lies in her favor, just in terms of her progression of width, lower stifle shape, and then upon handling, just the hardest touching. And I think for this particular breed is awfully impressive. I think good enough in terms of the way she blends and balances there from the side. You know, we get critical of her. Maybe wants to round out there in the heel of her loin, especially when we get her out in motion. Just a bit shorter in terms of her stride, but I don't think we have a perfect built one out here, so her muscularity and shape allows her to win this particular class. The young lady here that's going to go ahead and be second, body shape, levelness of lines, that one's awfully tight in terms of her hide. Just to me, wants to drop out there in the lower portion of her blade and her chest. We step right directly behind her, and a bit rounder in terms of her hip shape, and doesn't go to the ground with the same kind of stoutness of foot size, but I think one that follows our class winner with the same kind of body shape and look there. The one here that we come in 3 is easily the tallest at the point of her shoulder, the shallowest in regards to her chest, and maybe, like we said, they're not a perfect built one out here. That one does reach and go with the most range of motion. Just to me, it's when we step right in behind her, where she kind of falls in third, a bit flatter in terms of her body wall, not as explosive there in terms of her muscularity and shape. Young lady, though, you do an awesome job. Let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause.
Results from Class 3 Speckled Breeding Ewes. First was Reese Gorham. Second, Taylor Tanner. Third, Abby Horde. Now in the ring, we have Class 4 Speckled Breeding Ewes. After the conclusion of this class, we have the selection of our champion and reserve champion Speckled Breeding Ewes. Well, as we get rolling in our show here, we'll have a few announcements to make throughout the day, but I'd like to start the day by recognizing our livestock superintendents here this weekend. Dylan Freeman serves as a livestock chairman. Our cattle superintendents were Jefferson Keller and Marv Bitton. That cattle show took place over the last week and weekend. Our swine superintendent is Lucas Stallcup, and our sheep and goat superintendent is Dylan Freeman. We appreciate all the time and work that they put in to the show this year. I think it's going to be a great weekend, so if we could give a hand to all of our livestock superintendents.
Well, another great class of them. I think maybe the easiest class winner we've had to this point in the day, just in terms of quality. That one, shallowest in terms of her chest, love her lower body comparatively to this particular lineup, and how everything balances and blends. Very highly presented here from the side. We get that one in motion. She's adequate in terms of the way she motors around the ring, maybe just a bit extra in terms of her hock set, but I think just from a silhouette balance standpoint and being high quality, she needs to win this particular class. The young lady here in 2, that one does handle the freshest, the hardest to the touch. Love her rack shape and how it blends into her body wall, and still very fresh and hydrated about her loin. We just get that one in motion. Wants to drop out in terms of her shoulder and her chest, maybe just a bit more conventional in the front 1/3 of her body, but certainly one moderate, square brood ewe that offers a lot of good for the young lady on down the road. Young man, I commend you, because this one's just a bit bigger than you are, and you do an excellent job showing her, because that one does have some quality in terms of her levelness of lines, stoutness of feature underneath. It's just unfortunate compared to the rest of them. That one just gets a bit deeper in regards to her chest, a bit plainer over her forerib and body wall, and just the narrowest tracking going away. But that one's tight-hided, stout, and square at the ground. My congratulations to you and the rest of the trio. Let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause.
Results from our Class 4 speckled breeding ewes. First was Kylie Miller. Second, Rachel Seeker. Third, Brevin Brown. Now in the ring, we have our division for our speckled breeding ewes. Over on the goat side, we have Class 3 in the ring. We will have our lightweight division at the conclusion of this class. So we need our first and seconds, our top 3 from Class 1 and 2 to make your way up to the holding area. Class 1, Molly Oakley, Keith Page, and Corbin Jaggers. Class 2, Dominic Maldonado, Keith Page, and Paige Farley. I need you guys in the holding area.
Well, a good class here. The young man's goat that wins it. This guy, when he gets him parked and set up and we put our hands on him, he's super impressive. Very fresh to the touch, kind of through that front 2/3 of his body. I get back there on his hip loin. I'd like to freshen that up just a notch more right there. His hide and hair is spectacular. Tremendous rib shape. Big-footed. When he gets him on the move, he lets his goat do whatever heck he wants to. And I told him, I said, you need to get a hold to that goat, make him cock his head and walk around the ring. I mean, presentation is a lot in showing goats, and we got to present them to the highest degree. And I think this will look a heck of a lot better if we get control of his head. Young man on the other end of the spectrum here with the second place goat shows this guy phenomenal. He got him presented extremely well. Very impressive on how this one moves around the ring. We touch him, we just like to blow him apart just a notch more, just add some more thickness and fullness all the way around. This guy gets presented extremely well. He's got him propped up. Looks phenomenal. Really cool on the profile, dead level. We just need a touch more power in this guy to beat the one ahead of you, but great job on showmanship, definitely. I think there's a lot of give and take in these next three goats. I'm going to go with the one that was more impressive to the touch, very, very expressive in his rack. We get back there in that back third of his body, and to me, he's probably getting a notch more age on him, wanting to get a little more plain in that center stifle and plain to just the overall shape of that hip. Front 2/3 are really good, big rib, touch is really nice, and kind of contrary to the goat here in fourth. You love the way this one's getting presented. Young lady's got a super fresh one here. Just not enough of center stifle, enough back there in that back 1/3 of his body. I wish we could add some more power right there in that center stifle and just kind of blow them back legs apart and just make him thicker, because we'd move him up there, get closer to that one up in front. Really good stout one here in 5. This guy just kind of gets outsized and outpowered. You touch him, he's not as expressive in that rack. He doesn't handle with that, just that pop and firmness down his top that we're seeing ahead of him. You like the bone work and the rib shape, and you look at him compared to the others, he's kind of maybe should have been in the last class, and he'd been more competitive there. But a really good built one, very sound. He just got to land there where he can compete with goats more his size. Good class here. Let's give him a nice round of applause for an excellent set of goats.
Well, an awesome set of them here in our Speckle U division. Let's go ahead and give all these young people a big round of applause before we go any further. I think 4 of them that represent the breed very, very well, but to me, there's 2 that stick out, and hate to be a broken record, but they're very, very different in terms of their type and kind. I think one that just blends and balances everything just a nickel better, and we're not going to nickel and dime them today, just use quality and the best one in this particular breed, in my opinion. And then we have one for reserve that might be just a bit harder to the touch, a bit rounder in terms of her body shape, just a bit coarser whenever we set her in motion, but I think a very, very nice set of them. Let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause. I'll show you which ones I like.
Results from our Speckle Breeding U show. Champion was exhibited by Kylie Miller, and our reserve was Reese Gorham. Now entering the ring, we have our Southdown division. This is one class, so we will select our champion and reserve champion out of this class. On deck in the sheep show, we need our class 6, which is the first class of natural breeding ewes. Now entering the ring, we have our lightweight division in the Market Goat Show. Class 1 is, we've got exhibitors Molly Oakley, Keith Page, and Corbin Jaggers. Class 2, Dominic Maldonado, Keith Page, and Paige Farley. And Class 3, Miles Rutledge and Simon Ruff and Henry Langford. Again, this is our lightweight division in the Market Goat Show. Oh, right. Sorry. There's literally a million kids. I'm not going to get up. I want to take a second to introduce our sheep judge today. Judging our Breeding U show, we have Lane Slayton from Noblesville, Indiana. He attended Redlands Community College, where he was on a champion team at the American Royal. He also attended and recently graduated from Iowa State University, where he was a member of the livestock judging team and graduated with a degree in agricultural studies. He also owns and operates Triple S Livestock, where he helps sheep projects across the country. Please help me in welcoming Lane Slayton as our sheep judge here today. Over in our breeding sheep show, I need Class 6 Cheyenne Limbecky Sterkel. I need your natural breeding ewe, Class 6, to be making your way into the holding area. Cheyenne Limbecky Sterkel, your natural breeding ewe from Class 6 needs to be up in the holding area.
Really good lightweight drive here. Some goats that represent their classes extremely well. I think we got the quality up front, and you study these guys, and to me, there's one that kind of is a standout out here in terms of just build and power, and the way this guy, kind of the modern show goat, looks. Ideally, I'd like to fix him right there in his hip loin just a notch, but just a really, I think, an excellent built one. We're going to use the one out of our Class 3 lightweights for our champion. You know, as we study this reserve, here we're going 5 deep at the end, so we'll probably pick 3 here in this lineup. I think there's one that follows in here as far as the type and kind goes. The young man does a phenomenal job of getting him presented, but just really look at his silhouette and his profile, and you get up over the top and behind him, and he's powered up. Ideally, I'd like to make his hair and hide just a notch better. It looks like he's had some skin issues at some point, but just one that's super impressive. Boy, he's pretty, and he's got a lot of power to match up with that. And we're going to use our second place out of the Class 3 for reserve. And the young lady right here with the really good Class 1 goat will be our 3rd overall in this division.
Well, as uncooperative as she is going in the ring, it's not awfully hard to find our class winner. That one's elite in terms of this particular breed. Underlying quality, cage, pin width, whatever you want to throw at that one in this particular setting, you can. I think that's an awfully good one to go ahead and win this particular class. To the rest of our lineup get just a bit challenging when you can finally take your eyes off of our class winner. I think this one, though, just matches her in terms of body shape. Love her stoutness and squareness there as we study her at the 3/4. Very hard touching and hard handling for this particular breed. Just to me, a bit coarser there in the front part of her shoulder. Doesn't blend everything just as seamlessly in that regard, but one that's moderate, square, opened up. Young man, you just ran into a heater of a class winner. The one here in 3, that one does present a lot of great, very good pieces in terms of height of shoulder, smoothness of shoulder up front, and still getting being able to motor around the ring with her build quality at the ground. Just to me, we step in behind her, not as much true width and forerib there, and that comes to the ground as well. But I think one that puts a lot of great things together from the side. Just got to open her up from the 3/4 to go ahead and rival 1 and 2. The ones we have on down the line, I think, are very similar. The one we have right here, though, very good in terms of her cage, square in regards to her pin set. Actually handles with some expression and firmness to the touch. Just runs out of gas in terms of her flank line, her lower leg shape there. Just a bit frailer there in terms of her foot size, but one that is awfully hard handling. Young lady does an awesome job with that particular Southdown U. The one we round out our class with, moderate, very square, just a bit over-conditioned in terms of her forerib, a bit rounder there out of her hip, but one that's awfully moderate, square, and make a very good U for those 2 young people down the line. If you would, go ahead and congratulate all of our Southdown U exhibitors.
All right, guys, we like having fun, and we hope everybody's having fun. But if you are in the vicinity of, like, the show ring, if you could, like, limit the noise of music and stuff so we can hear the judges talk, like, turn your stereos down, that would be very much appreciated. Thanks.
All right. Well, we've just done our division of the lightweight goats. Our champion was Miles Rutledge. Our reserve was Simon Raff. And our 3rd overall lightweight goat was Molly Oakley. We'll see those back here for our grand drive. I do want to take a second to introduce our goat judge, Mike Harbor from Gatesville, Texas. His wife, Connie, and sons Trey and Tristan own Harbor Livestock. He's been raising show goats for 30-plus years, and goats and club lambs have been a lifelong endeavor. He was raised in the show ring here and has judged Louisville, Denver, and various state fairs. We appreciate all the knowledge and experience that Mike brings today to evaluate the goats and work with our young people. So if we could give a big hand for Mike for joining us here today. We'll catch up on our breeding ewe results. Results from our Southdown breeding ewe division. First was Haley Beard, also our champion. Second and our reserve champion Southdown breeding ewe is exhibited by Seth Wirt. Third was Raina Ivy. Fourth, Kinley Redding. And fifth, Arabella Rolfsmeyer. Now in the ring we have class 6 of our natural breeding ewes. Class 7 natural breeding ewes, I need you to be making your way to the holding area. Class 7 natural breeding ewes, please be making your way to the holding area. On the goat side, we have our first class of the middleweight division, Class 4. Again, in the holding area of the natural breeding ewes, I need Class 7. We're missing Lindy Fillingham, Iris Lauer, Tipton Sturkle, and the LCCC show team has a entry. I need all of those Class 7 entries to be making your way to the holding area. I want to take a second to announce a couple of the vendors around the ring here. We've got Freeman Showbox, who is a sponsor here. You can go there for all of your Sullivan supply needs. We also have Pine Bluffs Distilling, who will be serving up some tasty beverages all day. We appreciate Pine Bluffs Distilling and their presence here really since day one of the Cheyenne Livestock Expo. Dylan and some of the board members had the opportunity to go select a barrel that is signature to the Cheyenne Livestock Expo. So appreciate their presence here. They have stuff for adults and kids alike over there, so make sure you go visit Pine Bluffs Distilling here on the north side of the show ring. I would ask that those back in the barn here just kind of remember that we are sharing the mics and the space with our judges and for announcements. So if you've got music playing, just make sure you're pretty mindful of announcements and judges' comments and try not to play that music too loud.
quite a bit more numbers as we move into our natural color U division. I think, too, that surfaced, though, to the top pretty handily in my mind. To me, though, why the young lady in the black shirts use surfaces, we set them on the go, and I think build is very similar in motion, but on the stand, that one's just a bit leveler in terms of her top line. Still combines the right kind of shape, muscularity up top, the right kind of body wall there, and still progresses back with more squareness to her upper hip and pin set. I like that one a good deal to go ahead and start. Now, why it does become just a bit closer, that one obviously is just a bit more immature in terms of her loin edge right there, and just a bit more immature in general, and our lateness of maturity, which is where I think the young lady in 2 honestly has the advantage, just in terms of chest width, smoothness there from her mid-spine forward, just in terms of her body shape is still awfully good. Maybe just a bit smoother from there forward. From there back is where I question her just a nickel, a bit rounder there in terms of her loin and hip shape there. When we set her in motion, honestly, it blends just a bit better than it does on the stand, but kind of just wants to round out there in terms of her loin. But I think another U that's very solid, very good. My congratulations to that young lady. The one here in 3, very seamless in terms of her top line. Love her stoutness there at the surface, and honestly props up with the right kind of silhouette and balance. Just not enough of her in terms of her forerib shape. Wants to taper there to her lower leg. I think just the main thing, not just the width and power we see out of our 1 and 2, but I think the young lady brings us one that's awfully fault-free and very solid. The ones that come here in 4 and 5, I think are awfully similar. The young lady's darker tinted sheep here. Love that one's back shape and how it transitions into her loin. Still gives a look from the side that still reads with some quality from her last rib forward. Just to me, wants to slope out of her hip ever so slightly, just not as smooth in the transition of her hip loin as well. But I think another one that offers some shape, offers some power, just got to fix her in a couple of those areas. Young man that comes next, kind of the same story. Love that one's body shape, love her muscularity. Just to me, needs to go away with just a bit more power and stoutness there to compete with the ones above him. Young people on down the line do an awesome job. If you would, go ahead and congratulate them.
All right, results from Class 6 natural breeding ewes. First was Elizabeth Albrecht. Second, Kale DeSevi. 3 was Reagan Allen. 4th was Jocelyn Hobart. 5th, Parker Bobmeyer. 6th, Emily Olson. 7th, Peyton Monks. 8th, Tyan Lembeck-Sturkel. And 9th was Court Bannon. Now entering the ring on the breeding ewe side, we have Class 7 natural breeding ewes. This is the final call for Class 5 market goats. Final call, Class 5 market goats.
Well, very interesting class here. I think we've got a lot of give and take in these top 5. I think they're all very different. We've got one here that's kind of an outlier in terms of just his modern look and shape. And this guy, when I first touched him, I thought, man, here's the class winner. We get him on the move, and oh my God, it's not very good. I told the young man showing him, I said, your project from here on out is teach this dude how to walk. One thing, I mean, I've been raising goats since before this industry started. We used to sell Ibex and Spanish cross goats to kids that couldn't afford big livestock. And, you know, when we started this deal, we showed everything with chains. And we did that for a reason. So we get their head up, get them out in front of us, just have that cobra-headed look. And we've gotten way away from that. And a lot of kids showing goats. You know, I'm not knocking halters by any means. We've showed a few with halters just because that's the way we had to do it. But what you need to keep in mind, exhibitors, is the further that hand gets away from that head, the less control you've got of that goat, okay? There's a reason kids showing steers don't get out on the end of that chain. They got that hand right up by their head so they can control that calf, keep his head up and keep his head going in a north-south direction. And we're getting way away from that, I think, as an industry, just kind of all the way across the country. So sometimes I think if we don't outwalk our goats and we go back to using the chain on a few of these to where we can get that head up, that neck up, get that nose down a little bit, those goats will look a hell of a lot better out there on the move, and that can win you classes and win you divisions and win you shows. Back to this. I'll get off my soapbox here. I think we got one that wins. He's not perfect by any means, especially when the young man was trying to get him to travel. Just handles extremely fresh right there in his hip loin. You know, we'd just like to make that a little bit bigger and just smooth that up. But a goat that's really modern built, and he's out on his corners, he's big-footed. Just a really cool pattern right here. This one in next hole, just one that's kind of deceiving because he's got more elevation and extension than the rest of the class, and so you sit back and you're like, man, he ain't that thick. You get your hands on him. You feel that center stifle, you feel that top shape, and he's pretty deceiving. He's got some power to him. He doesn't have all the fancy leg hair and all that stuff that we're seeing in some of these others. But you got to give this guy some kudos for how he's built and how he lays down and just all those good things that comes with him. But this guy handles extremely good. He's very fresh. He's very powerful. Ideally, I just like to stouten him up. I think he's plenty big-footed. You know, and some of that goes back to all the hair and the adhesive that we're using as well, and just kind of matching that up. But this guy's pretty well built. He doesn't wow you in any major category, but I think he's a good, solid, complete one. We're going to roll him here in a second. When we get to the next three out here, 3, 4, and 5, they're a little more compact, a little wider built, a little shorter statured. I think the one in third is just a little cooler looking. He's shallower chested, a little better profile to this goat. I'd like to raise his tail head up just a notch more and kind of square him up just a bunch. But a goat that does have some power, some look, some rib shape, one that kind of falls in there. And those top three, I think they're very, very different amongst each other. We got the goat in 4 that's just a big stout one that's getting a little plainer from the profile. You study him, he's a little deeper chested. Doesn't quite have a wow factor. He's super sound. Feet and legs, got some muscle, a little fuller today in the midsection, but one that just kind of competes in here just as far as being a good stout one. He just doesn't wow us much in terms of eye appealing style. The goat that rounds out the top 5, another stout one here. Where he falls out is just in terms of his structure on his back, feet, and legs. He wants to hock in just a notch more, get a little more in his hocks on the move, but a good stout class, very interesting lineup here. Let's give them a nice round of applause for all their efforts.
All right, we need our next class, class 3 of the naturals, which is class 8 in the show. We need TJ Rumsey. No, right here. Results from class 4 market goats. First place, Dominic Maldonado. Second place, Taya Thompson. Third place, Janice Stearns. Fourth place, Sawyer Phipps. Fifth place, Sadie. I don't know how to say that one. Cifuentes. Apologies if I butchered your name. Sixth, Talissa Tagan. Seventh, Ellen Hartman. Eighth, Elena Barger. Ninth, Tanya Walker. 10th, Reagan Redding. 11th, Ashlyn Thompson. 12th, Abigail Holdren. Class 5 of market goats is currently in the ring.
Well, another deep class, and I think a lot of trade-off from 3 on down the line. I think the two that surface, though, are very similar in terms of the way they're built, in terms of their body shape, their handle quality, their stoutness at the surface. Just to me, I like the angles and proportionality just a bit better in the young man sheep that goes ahead and wins. That one's just a bit more flexible to the front 1/3 of that one's body. I like that one in terms of her progression and squareness of her loin edge just a bit better. Goes away with plenty of power, plenty of substance behind. I think that one is awfully good to go ahead and win this particular class. Young man's that comes in second, that one's very flexible in terms of her rear leg. Like that one in terms of her squareness of hip and pin set. Just to me, a bit more upright in terms of her shoulder, more forward in her knee, which kind of just throws off her build whenever we set her out on the loose. But I think that one still checks a lot of boxes, still very high quality. Young lady's here in third is just a bit deceiving in terms of her hide and just her coloration, I guess you can say, because that one from the outside looking in doesn't look like she's just the roundest bodied, the biggest pin, but that one's hard handling, very good in terms of the turn of her forerib. Just to me, the angle right here going away, just a bit narrower in terms of her pin set and tapers to the surface just a bit, but still reads with plenty of quality and when that one's balance and proportionality. Young lady that comes next, that one's chock full of muscle on the top side of her skeleton. Just need to reconstruct her underline just a bit, make her a bit deeper flanked and relax her there and set her back in her knee. But I think that one's hard handling, tight-hided. Young lady does an awesome job getting her stuck as well. The one that comes next, completely opposite in terms of her build at the surface. That one's reach and range of motion just a bit better, more relaxed in terms of her angles of her skeleton. Just to me, a bit plainer there in regards to her hip shape and lower stifle shape there. But another one the young lady brings us that's awfully high quality. Young people on the rail bring us a tremendous set of sheep as well. If you will, go ahead and give them all a big round of applause.
Class 7 natural breeding ewes. Results was first Hayden Schroeder, second Eidos Klein, third Lindy Fillingham, fourth Jaylee Joy, fifth Reagan Allen, sixth LCCC Show Team, seventh Iris Lauer, eighth Cy Blessing, and ninth was Tipton Circle. Now in the ring on our breeding ewe side, we have Class 8 natural breeding ewes. This is the first call for Class 9. I guess we have our division of the naturals at the conclusion of this class. So Class 9 Blackface breeding ewes, you guys need to start thinking about coming up here. Again, this is the first call for Blackface crossbred ewes. Again, just kind of a check-in of where we're at on both rings. Class 5 market goats are in the show ring. Class 5 market goats. Again, at the conclusion of the natural breeding ewe class, Class 8, we will have the selection of our champion and reserve champion natural breeding ewes. Our first class of Blackfaces, you don't need to bring them up quite yet, but just be thinking about getting ready here.
Well, a good class of middle division goats here. They kind of lined up pretty handily, I think. The young lady's goat that wins, just a super style one here. This guy handles extremely well, extremely smooth. One that to me is on the edge of getting a little too much hair on him. But I think we're at the acceptable level right here, and you just study this guy and the way he moves. He puts his feet out on the corners and tracks super wide and just big-footed, and one that I think kind of runs off with it. I think it gets a little closer, maybe to some extent here in second and third. We're going to follow him with one that I think patterns up. I really love the front two-thirds of this goat a lot, just really cracked open, round caged, one that's got plenty of power and muscle and just kind of matches the class winner pretty easily. I think the goat here in third follows very logically in terms of power and design and muscle, maybe a little plainer in his appearance compared to the second place goat, especially when we get him on the move and he relaxes and he just doesn't quite have that collectiveness and just that pop that we're seeing in that second place goat. But you got to appreciate the power that he's got, the mass and the rib. The next two here that round out the class to the top five, you study them, you like their profile and their look. They just don't have the power of the three ahead of them. We just like to add some more mass and muscle from front to rear. Good class. Give them a nice round of applause for an excellent set of goats here in this middle division.
Well, another awesome class of blue ones. I think 1 through 5 become awfully challenging to put together. Yet the ones we start here in 1 and 2, I think surface just in terms of being the more fault-free sheep that still offer the right kind of muscularity. To me, the young man that goes ahead and starts, that one's just a bit smoother there at the base of her blade and still a bit taller there at the point of her shoulder. And then when you say she has enough muscle and pin width from behind, I think she needs to win this class. Now that's where I critique her just a bit. She could be just more pulled apart there in terms of her lower leg going away, but I think it's acceptable to go ahead and win this particular class because her length of body, her symmetry from the side, I think is awfully good. The one here in 2, that one is just a bit rounder in terms of her full rib, a bit stouter there in her feature, but just to me, we view her right here. When the young lady gets that one in motion, we ask them to step off of them. Just comes in too many pieces for me. The base of her blade just a bit too coarse for me, a bit shorter in her body length there from the side, but I think just a nice practical ewe that just needs to be a bit more up and out for this particular show judge. The one here that we have in third is the taller shouldered, smoother shouldered option here. To me, that one blends a lot of things together from the side we really like. We just step right in behind her, and that one just becomes a little flatter in her forerib, narrower in her pin set. You just need to pry her apart from end to end to go ahead and make her more competitive in this particular class. Young lady has one that's at the opposite end of the spectrum compared to the one we previously discussed. That one's cracked open, bold in terms of her body shape, maybe the biggest in her upper hip and pin set. Just to me, a bit shorter in regards to her body length here. Her extra belly wool and fleece there kind of throws off her appearance and makes her look just a bit shorter-sided, but to me, just a bit more conventional in terms of her body length and construction up front, but she's powerful, stout, and wide. I really like that about her. The one that we round out our class with, very cool colored, kind of a pattern of a ewe, awfully tall shouldered, long in terms of her body, of her added stoutness of foot size. Just to me, a bit flatter there in terms of her pin set and lower leg to be more competitive in this particular class. But if you would, give the young people on the rail and our top 5 exhibitors a big round of applause.
Results from Class 5 Market Goats. First was Echo Bartels. Second, Caden Kaysen. Third, Sadie Cifuentes. Fourth, Clancy Conklin. Fifth, Dominic Maldonado. Sixth, Bowden Fenton. Seventh, Haven Rhodes. Eighth, Allison Kemp. Ninth, Caden Healy Mitchell. 10th, Addison Perkins. 11th, Cashley Criswell. 12th, Ashlyn Thompson. 13th, Keith Page. And 14th, Anthony Quick. Now in the ring, we have Class 6 Market Goats. At the conclusion of this class, we will have the selection of our middleweight division. Results from Class 8 Natural Breeding Ewes. First, we had TJ Rumsey. Second, LCCC Show Team. Third, Lucinda Mares. Fourth, Jalen Miner. Fifth, Addison Lawrenson. Sixth, Kylie Miller. Seventh, Kinsey Wirt. Eighth, Peyton Monks. And ninth, Brevin Brown. Now in the show ring on the breeding sheep side, we have our selection of our champion and reserve champion natural breeding ewe. I need our first class of Blackface crossbred breeding ewes to make your way to the show ring. Lindy Fillingham, we need your sheep up here for Class 9 Blackface breeding ewes. Swine exhibitors, I need you guys to head over to the check-in table. If you've not checked in yet, there's no line over there. Swine exhibitors, if you guys would head into the check-in table by the show office to get those animals checked in, please. For those in our Blackface U division, we will not have divisions within the Blackface division. So we will select those animals out of all 6 classes in our grand drive of the Blackface division. There will not be weight divisions.
Well, we turn up the heat just a bit in our Blue U division. I think an awfully stout set of them. When you talk about putting the right kind of pieces together to take these things home and breed on them, I think it's an exceptional set out here. Not only these 6 we have in the drive, but the remaining ones that we sent back to the pen. I think a very, very deep set of them. To me, it boils down between 4 of them. I think all 4 are extremely high quality. And like we've mentioned throughout the day, they're not all going to be alike. There's going to be some differences in our lineup when we go to the end of the day, and to me that's all right, just as long as we can kind of follow where I'm at within each one of them, and I describe them to you the correct way. And I think that's what I've always tried to do in terms of prioritization, let you know where I'm at. I think the 3 on our front line are the most in contention. I think they're all extremely high quality, but different in their own way. To me, I think there's one that maybe just blends all the parts and pieces together just a nickel better than the remaining trio. We're going to go ahead and pick 3 out of this division, though. I'll show you which 3 those are. If you would, go ahead and give these exhibitors a big round of applause.
Well, another good class here. Some goats I think kind of line up pretty logically, and you study this black paint that when he comes in, he just commands your attention. One that's out on his corners, very bold built one, shallow chested, really, really cool from the side. Young man presents him extremely well. I think he just kind of runs off with it pretty handily. And I think we're going to follow him very easily, in my mind, with the one in second. You get back and you look at him, and to me, he's just kind of built pretty similar. He's got a little more age on him today, a notch bigger build, doesn't quite collect himself quite as well, but you got to appreciate the length of body, the power of the rib, the big-footedness, just a super stout one here. I think this pair right here stacks up pretty handily. We got a very thick one here in third. I appreciate the power that he brings out. Front 2/3 pretty phenomenal as far as the turn to his cage and just rack shape and everything that he brings. He's a little shorter hipped. He runs off in his hip just a notch more. We just like to raise that tail a little bit and kind of square him up back there in the back 1/3 of his body. I think right here in fourth and fifth, we just kind of fall off in terms of eliteness in these goats. I think they're very good. We got the young lady's goat that handles extremely well in fourth. Just maybe a neater little package when we profile this guy. When she's got him stuck and presented, get him popped. He's not shallower chested, maybe a little better turn to his rib, and just pulled apart a notch more than the goat in fifth. Really powerful one in fifth, gets presented extremely well. Step back and study this one. He's the deepest chested of our top 5. Maybe just a little plainer in his appearance, but a good class. Give him a nice round of applause for some super high quality goats out here.
Results from our natural breeding ewe division. Our champion was exhibited by Hayden Schroeder. Our reserve champion, Elizabeth Albrecht. And coming out of that division as well for the grand drive will be third, TJ Rumsey. Now in the ring, we have our first class of Blackface crossbred breeding ewes. Again, we will not have weight divisions in that Blackface division. Results from Class 6 market goats. First was Zane Walker. Second, David Vetter. Third, Wyatt Braithwaite. Fourth, Bailey Dennison. Fifth, Brody Shreve. Sixth, Paisley Meddy. Seventh, Molly Stanton. Eighth, Cashley Criswell. Ninth, Hallie Wade. 10th, Cheyenne Goss. 11th, Riley Seabrant. 12th, Ellen Hartman. 13th, Tyron Goss. Now entering the ring on the goat side, we have our middleweight division. That means I need our top 3 from classes 4, 5, and 6 to be in the holding area. Top 3 from classes 4, 5, and 6 will be entering the ring for our middleweight division. I need class 10, which is our second class of Blackface crossbred breeding ewes, ranging in weight from 122 to 131. You guys need to be in the holding area. Class 10, Blackface breeding ewes. If you guys would start making your way up to the holding area. Class 7, market goats. If you guys would also start making your way up to the show ring. Class 7, market goats, please be making your way up to the holding area.
Great way to kick off our Blackface U division. I think one that surfaces rather logically in my mind, just puts the most good together in terms of height of shoulder, shallowness of chest, and that's the hardest handling, biggest pin one we have in this particular drive, and matches it with the right kind of stoutness at the surface. You know, if we're going to get awfully critical on her, get her in motion, maybe wants to get just a bit more upright in her shoulder and how she flexes and goes out of her front end, but great one to start out our Blackface division with. The one here in 2, maybe being a bit more uncooperative, but I think matches our class winner the best in terms of stoutness and power. Love her rack shape past her blade. Still comes with the right kind of pin width. Just to me, a bit more conventional. Runs downhill in the front 1/3 of her body, maybe just a bit rounder into the upper part of her hip, but one that's expressive, hard touching, and stout. Like her a good deal as well. The one here in 3rd, that one is a bit taller there at the point of her shoulder, leveler in terms of her lines, and that might come with her just having just a naturally better attitude. Just to me, though, a bit rounder there in the upper part of her pin set, a bit frailer as we take her to the surface, but one that puts a lot of good things together in terms of touch and silhouette. The young lady also does an incredible job getting that one stuck. My compliments to her. The one we have next is very, very interesting because that one's very good. And her forerib and her body shape tucked up there in terms of her chest, and still remains with plenty of pin width behind. Just to me, wants to break too much behind her shoulder, just gets a bit more conventional in the way her shoulder and her neck set's put together up front, but I think one that's still awfully moderate, awfully muscular. Gotta like those things about that particular female. The one we round out with is very level in her spine. Oh, I love her flank line and how everything blends from the side. Just to me, a bit rounder about her hip. Wants to kind of get outside of her body wall as she travels away from us, but I think one that still offers a lot of good. My compliments to you, young lady, and the rest of our exhibitors here on the rail. Let's go ahead and show our appreciation with a big round of applause.
Well, we're getting closer to lunchtime here, and I would encourage you guys to go see Fred at Fred's Catering over by the show office. They've got a big selection of snacks and lunch items. Also, to complement that, you can go see Pine Bluffs Distilling. Pine Bluffs Distilling is a sponsor of the show. Part of the sales that they do here, they sponsor back to the show. So appreciate the opportunity to work with Pine Bluffs Distilling since year 1. I encourage you guys, they've got adult and kid-friendly beverages over there at Pine Bluffs Distilling. So make sure you go see them at the black tent on the north side here by the bleachers. And go see Fred's Catering if you're looking for some lunch. Results of Class 9 Blackface breeding ewes. First was Lindy Fillingham. Second, Ella Blickle. Third, Raina Ivy. Fourth, Ella Blickle. Fifth, Paige Farley. Sixth, Haley Benson. And seventh was Tinley Burr. Now entering the ring, we have Class 10 Blackface breeding ewes.
Well, that's why we all come to these big shows, is to see some big-time goats, and I think we do in this division. There's 2 out here, kind of no secret, the 2 that I like the best as far as this division goes, just super high-quality goats. These are big-time goats. You study them. They're built very similar, but yet there's differences amongst these 2. We'll kind of talk them. The one that won the last class, the black belted weather here, just tremendous in terms of his rib shape, his boldness, the touch, the amount of power. I think he excels everybody out here in this drive, the way he handles. just the expression, the center stifle. You really handle that leg and get a true dimension of how powerful this guy is. Ideally, I'd like to stretch him just a notch from flank to flank, and you know, of course, some of that has to do with being belted, but I think you just really study the body length of this guy. He's not as long as the one that won the second class, but just tremendous power, tremendous foot size, super correct on his feet and legs, especially that front knee. Like he can get around the ring and he stands and props himself up, and we all know if you breed him long enough, we've got knee issues in the industry, and you study this guy and he's really correct right there. Just well built. I'd love to feed one like this myself, and just a really good one. The Class 2 winner, when he come in, is just like, wow, there he is. This guy's phenomenal in his profile and the silhouette. You just love this guy. You step back and look at him from the side view. You can all see it around the ring, and he's one of those, when you're sitting in the stands, it's like, well, heck, that one wins pretty dang easily, you know, and I've been there. I've studied him from the outside, and you get your hands on him. He's given up some power to the black goat. He's definitely longer sided. He's very attractive. These two kids get them showed extremely well. They're on chains, their heads up, their noses down. These goats get presented. Presentation matters. When you get to a big show, whether it's Houston or this one or Louisville or Denver, I mean, we've showed at them and judged them, and presentation matters, and these two exhibitors get that done. I really like the way this guy looks from the side view. Super, super attractive. A little longer pelted, longer haired. You put your hands on him, and you really handle that leg as far as center stifle. He's given up some power and just some overall width to the black goat, and that's pretty obvious. You study his knee. He's a little more over in his knee. I'm not going to say he's crippled or bad structured or anything like that. There's just differences in the two, and I'll just mention it. But I think that all these things, you really study the fine details of these. He's not quite as round and as shallow in his rib cage, and quite as unique right there, but definitely one you want to be in the backdrop with and take a picture with, because you won't look like an idiot getting one up high in the class or high in the division or overall. Two really good goats. Well, that said, I mean, to me, I'm not going to argue if you like one over the other. It's everybody's personal preference. Me, I'm kind of a muscle guy, have been my whole life, and have been since we started raising these things back before there were show goats. So we'll go out here and name our champion reserve. I think it's very, very close between these two. Want to commend the exhibitors on getting them presented, getting them showed. Hide and hair's phenomenal. Presentation matters, but yet they've got a good one that they're proud of, I know, and have done a phenomenal job. Give them a nice round of applause. We'll go name our champion reserve and third overall in this division.
We are looking for a set of Toyota car keys that has a wooden dumbbell on them. So if you find a set of Toyota car keys that has a wooden dumbbell on them, if you guys could bring them up to the announcer's stand. All right, in the show ring now on the sheep side, we have Class 10 Blackface breeding ewes. We appreciate your patience. We were waiting on a showman out of our market goat middleweight division. The results from that middleweight division, our champion was exhibited by Zane Walker. Our reserve champion, Echo Bartels. Third overall, David Vetter. And fourth was Wyatt Breathwaite. We will bring those top 4 from our middleweight division back for our champion drive. We will select a top 5 market goat. So again, the top 4 from the middleweight division, you guys will come back for our grand market weight drive. Now in the ring, in our market goat show, we will have Class 7 entering the ring. Class 7 market goats will be entering the ring. As many of you are probably aware, it takes an army to put on a show of this size and caliber. Last week we had the open and junior breeding cattle shows, and then the prospect show over the weekend. Took a little break to change the entire building over from cattle stalls to small animal pens. So it takes a lot of time and effort and planning. Want to recognize the board of directors for the Cheyenne Livestock Expo, the chairman, Pam Freeman. She's also the acting show secretary and does a lot of behind the scenes work. She's over at the hog check-in right now. I appreciate her efforts. Lucas Stallcup, the vice chairman. Other members include Scott Vetter, Dylan Freeman, Marv Bitton, Carrie Northington, Brian Wilson, Jeremiah Darr, Amanda Weber, Jefferson Keller, and Landon Eldridge. Please join me in thanking the board of directors for the show they put on this year. All right, in the holding area, we need Class 11 Blackface breeding ewes. We're missing LCCC show team, Isabella Tim, and Caden Healy Mitchell. If you guys would start making your way to the holding area.
well, another deep class here in our Blackface division. I think 1 and 2 get awfully close, just in terms of having those subtle differences and just being able to place your priorities where you want to. And to me, the young lady's U that starts, just her length of body, her roundness of rib cage, and her extra reach and range of motion whenever we get out of them and just let them motor around the ring. I think this is a nickel better. Now, she doesn't come without fault. I'd like to see her just a bit longer and a neater neck up front. I'd like to see her flank line drop just a bit, make her a bit deeper in that portion of her body. But I think just checks and balances and fundamentals, I think her structure, her rib cage is just a nickel better than the U we're about to discuss. Now, the young man that's here in 2, that one's the outlier in terms of shortness of blade, flank line, and there from the side paints a beautiful picture. Maybe rivals our winner and having just a bit more extra pin set and lower leg and stifle shape going away. We just set her in motion, gets just a bit shorter and straighter up to the front 1/3 of her body, a bit shorter about her body length here from the side, and just a bit more deceiving because of her extra flank and belly wool there, but I think just a highly presented, very tricked out U that just needs to be just a bit more flexible whenever we get her out in motion. The one here that comes next, that one provides a lot of good pieces in terms of shallowness of chest, underlying quality, height at the point of her shoulder. Just to me, we get to the 3/4 and kind of runs out of gas, and her rib cage, her added pin set, and muscularity from behind. If we improve those attributes, I think she winds this class awfully tight. There's a lot of good pieces that we can discuss within that particular female. The one that comes next, love her shallowness of chest, love her how highly presented she remains, and still just a very practical, solid U. To me, wants to have too much extra set in regards to her hock, a bit plainer in terms of her shape. She's hard handling, maybe just not as expressive in her spread and her rack shape up top, but I think another one that offers a lot of good. And the young man we round out our top 5 with, big pin, awesome in terms of her stoutness at the surface. Just to me, begins to run downhill and deepen about her chest. And if we can just stouten her up as well in terms of her lower leg, I think she becomes more competitive. Young man and the exhibitors on the rail do an awesome job. If you will, go ahead and applaud them.
Results from Class 10 Blackface Cross Breeding Ewes. First was Reagan Redding. Second, Preston Bobenmeyer. Third, Dally Horrocks. Fourth, Taya Thompson. Fifth, Michael Lockey. Sixth, Taylor Tanner. Seventh, Wyatt Lang. Eighth, Darian Vance. Ninth, Grace Baumgartner. 10th, Addison Aldersey. Now entering the ring, we have Class 11 of our Blackface Cross Breeding Ewes. On our goat side, I need Class 8 to be making your way to the holding area. Class 8 market goats, please be making your way to the holding area. Want to take a second to announce some of our sponsors for the 2024 Cheyenne Livestock Expo. Our grand champion sponsors include Derby Club, Stock Show Secrets, Showtech ADM Feeds, and Visit Cheyenne. Our reserve champion sponsors are Freeman Showbox, Miranda Simpson State Farm Insurance, Transova, Weber Law, Herc Rental, Kubota Equipment, and 5R Construction. Just to expand a little bit on some of those sponsorships, many of these local businesses have donated equipment for us to use in order to get the building set up and then turned over between shows. Those businesses include Kubota. They provided tractors and skid steers. 5R Construction provided a front end loader. 10 Company Trucking, a side dump trailer and driver in order to lay chips down. So we really could not get this show put together without many of these local businesses if we could give them a little recognition.
All right, in this class, young ladies, light-headed goat here, just tremendous power in this guy. You love his rib shape and his design and just the amount of power that he possesses. Ideally, I'd like to make him move just a notch better off them rear wheels, but tons of power, blowed apart, super expressive, big old forearm in this guy. I think he wins it pretty handily. And then we move into one that I think just logically falls in there. You study here from the side, you may make him, might like him a notch better from the stands as far as his smoothness and his eye appeal. He's getting a little more mature in his pattern, I think, than the class winner. You put your hands on him, definitely giving up some in that center stifle and just that forearm and just as far as the overall muscle and expression, but really nice pair right there. I think it kind of, except these next three goats, there's a lot of give and take in these three. I like the touch of the paint hip goat here. There's times that the young man's got him stuck and a little more expressive. You really like his eye appeal. He's shallow, handles with lots of expression. One that I think just kind of logically falls in there as far as the way he's built and his pattern. Just needs more muscle to move up higher. We got two goats here in fourth and fifth that got some muscle and some width and dimension. You step back off and study them from the side. They aren't quite as shallow. The one that we put in fourth, just a notch more overall body width and dimension right there as far as center rib and chest floor, and just he's pulled apart just a notch better than our fifth place goat. Fifth goat's got lots of power to him. I love the muscle, love the touch on this one. We study him from the side. He's getting a little deeper chested, just kind of a little plainer in his appearance. But a good class. Give him a nice round of applause for a really high quality set of heavyweights.
For class 12 Blackface breeding ewes, I need Hallie Wade and Carly Tanner to be making your way into the show ring. Results from the market goat classes are class 7. First was Echo Bartels. Second was Sawyer Phipps. Third, Corbin Seabrant. Fourth, Janice Stearns. Fifth, Brody Shreve.
Well, I've had the privilege to listen to Mike talk his market goats throughout the day, and this one kind of fits the description and mold of what he said in the middleweight drive. Just elite stock and one that can handle a big ring, that's for sure. Her presence, body shape, pin width, that one's just flat elite. My congratulations to that young lady. Heck of a class winner to go ahead and start us off. A bit more trade-off and a bit more tighter race here in 2 through 5. I think the young ladies, though, that's going to go ahead and be second. I just prefer her body shape, her extra pin width and stoutness behind. She doesn't hold the edge in terms of shape and expression up top, but I think her spread and her width allows her to go ahead and be second in this particular class. Now, the young ladies that's here in third, I think is a little taller shouldered, a bit more expressive in terms of her shape, and still is adequate enough in terms of her pin set, just a bit flatter in regards to her body, not as big and bold about her chest floor, but I think one that offers a lot of good pieces. Just wish they'd blend and smooth just a bit more easy for me. The one young man that brings us a U next, I think is awfully short-shouldered, great underline and big back. Just to me, a bit frailer there at the surface, a bit rounder about her hip and dock there, but I think young man does an awesome job. Just needs to be a bit square as they go away. The one that comes next, awfully smooth-shouldered, awfully tall-shouldered, long-bodied, just runs out of width, substance, and power going away. But if you would, go ahead and give all these exhibitors along the rail a big round of applause as well.
Results from Class 11 Blackface Crossbred Breeding Ewes. First was Isabella Tim. Second, Tessa Henderson. Third, Cody Monks. Fourth, Cy Blessing. Fifth, Hayden Taylor. Sixth, Brody Hinkle. Seventh, Addie Cortez. Eighth, Caden Healy Mitchell. Ninth, LCCC Show Team. 10th, Iris Lauer. Now in the ring, we have Class 12 of our Blackface Crossbred Breeding Ewes. This is our first call for Class 13 Blackface Crossbred Breeding Ewes. First call, Class 13 Blackface Crossbred Breeding Ewes.
good heavyweight class here. The young man's black-headed goat that wins super stout one here. Doesn't disappoint you when you put your hands on him in terms of just power and muscle and freshness, and he's really out on his corners. One that I like is turn to his cage, and just the way he's built, props up extremely nice, and I think wins it pretty handily. We'll come in here with one in second that's built kind of similar to him, just not near as much power and width and dimension. You study him, you get back to off the side, and even on the move, I think those two kind of compare to each other. There's just a lot more goat in the black-headed one. Following in third with one that's just kind of a smaller version as we notch down. This guy's giving up some overall pounds, giving up some expression in that rack and loin, but just a really good built one here that I think logically falls in this top three. The next two goats, we got one here and four that the next two just kind of fall out in terms of the way they're built as far as their style and their eye appeal, especially you get these two on the move and they get a little weaker in their top line. Just a little looser constructed, but we're going to compare these two. I'm going to go with the more powerful one in fourth. That's got more touch to him, more expression, more turn to that rib, and more center stifle. Really good one to round up five. Just don't quite have the modern look or the overall power of the ones ahead of him. A little more mature in his pattern right now, but a good class. Give him a nice round of applause.
All right, so we have a lot of doubled up showmen here today, trying to run between rings and show. We're only like half a class off, so we are going to do the after the Blackface drive over here in the U show, then we will do the grand drive for the goats. So that way our showmen that are doubled up can make sure they show their animals in the grand drive. So we should be able to do the goat grand drive and then come over here and do the U grand drive, because we're only about half a class off.
For class 13 Blackface cross breeding ewes, I need Bella and Wyatt to make their way up to the holding area. Bella and Wyatt. Results from Class 8 Market Goats. First was David Better. Second, Jace Fisher. Third, Janice Stearns. Fourth, Bella Campbell. Fifth, Lucinda Mares. Sixth, Wyatt Braithwaite. Seventh, Bowden Fenton. Eighth, Grace Baumgartner. Ninth, Arabella Rolfsmeyer. 10th, Tanya Walker. 11th, Judah Thatcher. 12th, Ryder Howley, and 13th, Peyton Thompson. Class 9, I need you guys to be in the holding area. Abigail Holdren, we need your goat up in the holding area. Abigail Holdren, we need your goat up in the holding area. Your class is, just to reiterate what Dylan said, we will do a Blackface division before we start the grand drive of the market goats. So heavyweight division, we might have a little bit of a pause after that heavyweight division until the conclusion of the Blackface U drive. Then we'll go to the grand market drive.
challenging class here on the breeding ewes side of things. I think a lot of differences to sort through, especially within the 1 and 2 hole here. I just think when you call shape, rack shape, and their loin a wash, because it is. Both of them could stand to have just a bit more power and muscularity upon the handle, but I think the one we start with is just a better built ewe. Like her stride, like her skeletal quality when we set her in motion, and still that's a tall-shouldered ewe that just presents herself off there. I like that one to go ahead and start. Now, like we said, is that one just the most muscular and ripped up as she goes away? No, I don't think so. Could stand to be just a bit wider there at the surface, but I think just as checks and balances and putting the highest quality animal together needs to win this particular class. The one that's next, chock full of power when you step in behind her in regards to her stifle shape, her width at the surface, I think is awfully good. Still remains plenty round in terms of her cage. Just to me, a bit shorter in terms of her neck, a bit plainer in her shape up top. To me, just needs to get out and go with just a bit more flexibility as well. But I think one that's also very high quality. The one here in 3, that one's maybe the outlier just in terms of neck set, length of neck up front, length of body here from the side. Just to me, just needs more pin width and true stifle shape as we go away. We could power that gal up and makes it a lot harder of a decision. Both you young ladies, though, do an awesome job. My compliments to you guys. The one that comes next, that one does hold the advantage in her body shape and her touch up top. I think still length of body is not a question or an issue. Just wants to drop too much in regards to her shoulder and her chest down low. It gets a little, just a nickel straighter when we set her in motion. But I think one that still makes an awfully nice breed ewe down the road for the young lady. Just need to shallow her up and make her notch less coarse to the front 1/3 of her body. The one that we round out our top 5 with, like that one, spread and power up top, just a bit shorter in terms of her neck set and body length there from the side, just a bit staler there in terms of her hide, but I think one that still presents a lot of pieces there. Let's go ahead and congratulate all these young people on an excellent class.
Results from Class 12 Blackface cross breeding ewes. First was Tyson Miller. Second, Carter Watson. Third, Camry DeSevi. Fourth, Hallie Wade. Fifth, Haley Cooper. Sixth, Carly Tanner. Seventh, LCCC Show Team. Eighth, Corey Hinson. Ninth, Elena Barger. 10th, Paisley Chadwell. 11th, Laramie Sexton. 12th, McKenna Rathje. 13th, Jordan Christensen. Now entering the ring, we have Class 13 Blackface cross breeding ewes. This is the first call for Class 14 Blackface cross breeding ewes. I'll take a quick second to announce the rest of our sponsors, starting with our purple level sponsors, Texcoda, LCCC, Allied Nutrition, Murdoch's, CFD, Wyoming Hereford Association, Noda Sharpening, and Cooper Specialty Feeds. Our blue level sponsors, Alpha 2 Omega, NextGen, and Riverstone Bank. Again, thank you to those sponsors. want to make sure that everyone takes advantage of capturing the memories here that they make at the Cheyenne Livestock Expo this year. You can do so by visiting Legacy Livestock Imaging. They will be snapping photos throughout the barn, in the show ring, and at the backdrop. So make sure that you visit Legacy Livestock Imaging for those captures of the moments that you and your family share this weekend. Thank you to the Andersons and their crew for providing those pictures for us this weekend.
Well, good class of heavyweights. I think this kind of wraps up our show as far as the class work goes. Young ladies class winner, kind of like what she's been bringing us all day in terms of just uniqueness. Just really cool built one here. Handles extremely well, moves really good. She's getting him presented. This one's out on his corners. He's bold ribbed. I think he wins pretty handily, and we're going to follow him with the black-headed goat that touches extremely well. This guy's front two-thirds of his body are phenomenal. He's out on the corners, super wide-chested. You study him back there in his hip. He's just a little, gives up a little in that center stifle and wants to roll off in his tail head there just a notch. But I think two super high-quality goats here to win this class, and we follow him with one here in third. She gets him propped up, and I like this guy a lot. You step back from the side, study him. You may like him a little better than the second place goat in terms of just silhouette and the way she's presenting him once he's stopped and propped up. Where this guy bothers me is we get him on the move and he gets short-hipped, he gets down in his tail. We just like to correct that structure on that back end and just make that hip longer and leveler. because I really love the front 2/3 of this guy, and he's built extremely well. When he's parked, he just doesn't hold himself together real good on the move. We got 2 goats here in 4th and 5th that to me are just giving up some of the wow factor that we're seeing in the ones ahead of him. The goat here in 4th, maybe just a notch greener and leaner. At this stage, you get them this old and we're trying to hang on to them and hold them back, and sometimes they just get a little wrung out looking, and that's kind of the way this guy appears. I like how shallow he is, how up-fronted. The young lady does a great job of getting this one showed and presented and propped up here. Runs uphill. We just don't have enough power, mass, and muscle to beat the ones ahead of him. The one here that rounds the class, the top 5 off, one that when we get this guy on the move, he drops in his spine and just gets a little looser in the way he's made and put together. Good class. Let's give him a nice round of applause to end up our heavyweights.
All right, results of Class 9. Market Goats, first was Echo Bartels, second, Sawyer Phipps, third, Brooklyn Juratowski, fourth, Elena Barger, fifth, Lennox Juratowski, sixth, Miles Rutledge, seventh, Tostin Tangen, eighth, Lucinda Mares, ninth, Jaylee Joy, 10th, Sadie McWhorter, 11th, Emerson Olson, 12th, Abigail Holdren. Now entering the ring on our Market Goat side, we have our final class, Class 10 of our heavyweights. Final class, Class 10, heavyweight Market Goats. Again, at the conclusion of the heavyweight Market Goat drive, we will wait for our grand drive of Market Goats until after the Blackface division. I need Camry DeSevi to make your way up to the show ring. Camry DeSevi.
Well, exceptionally deep class, exceptionally deep class to put together, but to me, our class winner was never in doubt. That one's awfully elite in terms of when you study her underlying quality, you study her body shape, her pin set, and get her out in motion, and the way she's able to hold it all together so seamlessly is the reason she wins this class. That's an awfully good one there to start the class with, young lady. From there on back, there's some challenges that are presented, but I think the next best one, just in terms of being fault-free with the right kind of body shape, right kind of pin width, and the right kind of build when we get them in motion, lands in the young lady that's going to be second's favor. That one handles awfully good in terms of her spread up top, offers the right kind of pin set going away. Maybe not as expressive to the touch as one that wins this particular class, but awfully solid female to go ahead and start. Young lady here that's going to go ahead and be third. That one is just a bit harder to the touch in terms of her rack shape. That one still is awfully tucked up. In regards to her chest and her underlying quality, just to me, wants to roll too much out of her loin, get a little narrower in terms of her pin set when we step in behind her, but another awfully nice U. Young lady, you absolutely show the wheels off of that thing. The one here in 4, same kind of story as the one in second. Those fit the mold, kind of being very similar sheep in regards to their body shape, stoutness at the surface. To me, this one just gets a bit more over-conditioned in terms of her forerib, a bit shorter about her neck. If we can clean those two areas up, she slides up the class awfully fast. To me, just a bit more conventional in the way she's put together in the front 1/3 of her body. The one we round out our top 5 with, awfully level in terms of her lines, elevated at the front 1/3 of her body. We set her in motion one more final time, and just the shortest stepping of our top 5, the narrowest in regards to her pin set going away, but that one's handle quality and look and symmetry is very good. If you will, go ahead and congratulate all those exhibitors.
Results from Class 13 Blackface crossbreeding ewes. First was Haley Beard. Second, Havana Mickelson. Third, Chanley Crow. Fourth, Kasani Crow. Fifth, Elizabeth Albrecht. Sixth, Wyatt Lang. Seventh, Bella Campbell. Eighth, Jory Maxson. Ninth, Cy Blessing. 10th, Addison Tanner. 11th, LCCC Show Team. And 12th, Jaden Meyer. Now in the ring, we have Class 14 of our crossbred breeding ewes. Class 14 crossbred breeding ewes. We have a smaller class for Class 15 if you guys would start making your way up to the show ring. Again, our final class of market goats is in the show ring here. We will do our heavyweight division and wait for the conclusion of the Blackface breeding ewes before we do our overalls. So if you have a any division winners that'll be coming back, make sure that you wait to bring those up until we give you the heads up after the Blackface crosses. So don't rush for the overall Grand Market Goat Drive. I know we've taken a chance to introduce our sponsors to you in a way to thank them. We have thank you cards over at the Livestock office. So exhibitors, if you would go over to the Livestock office and fill out a thank you card for us at some point this weekend, we will distribute those to our sponsors. So it takes a lot of money and effort to put on a show like this, and we're very grateful to those sponsors. We want to show our gratitude and continue to invite them back in the years to come.
All right. Yep. We're good. We're good. My apologies on thinking that was the last class ago. But we got the super heavies out here, and the young lady's goat that wins. We get him on the move, and I think he excels these top 5 as far as style and balance and just holding himself together, giving us a good show goat appearance. He's real clean made. He's round. He's shallow. He doesn't want to cooperate part of the time, but he's a goat that I think is more youthful in this class, high-headed, and just really gets himself around the ring extremely nice. I like the profile of this goat in second. We study him as front third is really nice. We get back in the back end of this guy, and I just like to add more center flare, lower stifle in this goat, just more power in that back third of his body, but I think he matches up pretty handily there with our class winner. And then we've got the next 3 goats. There's a lot of give and take here, you know, and I had them swap back and forth, and you really study, and I work hard at trying to get them right all the way down. We're going to go with this young man's goat here that, to me, he props up extremely nice. Handles really good, very smooth in his hip loin. You know, all these goats are getting a little age on them. They all got enough power to them. And we start studying him as far as completeness and smoothness and everything, and I think he's going to land here in third. I'd like for him to be a notch shallower, elevate that chest floor some and that middle just a little bit. The goat here in fourth is one that I had all over the board. We study him. He's just a little leaner. I think we're, you know, kind of past the point on this one as far as freshness goes. There's times I really like him, times I study him, and I'm like, man, we need more muscle in this dude as far as center stifle, lower leg, make those back legs just travel and track just a notch wider and square. Big thick one here in fifth, super thick, super round, just a little more shorter body, a little more compact. Didn't quite give us the look on the move that we're trying to achieve in this class. But a good class. Let's give him a nice round of applause.
All right, results of our final market goat class. First was Brooklyn Dratowski, second Jalen Miner, third Blake Boschel, fourth Jalen Miner, fifth Carter Bannon.
Well, we keep getting up in weight here in our Blackface division. I think the quality just begins to continue to surface, if you will. I think an awfully deep set of them, not only our top 5, but the ones that are to the right of me as well. Very high quality class. To me, the young ladies, so we get off of them one more time. I just prefer the way that one ties her neck at the top side of her shoulder, while still not sacrificing any of the quality pieces that our one in second has. I think build and skeletal quality is still in check within this particular female. And then you get right in behind them, and that one's still awfully powerful in regards to her pin width, her lower stifle shape. Very, very good place to start. The young ladies here in second, I love that one when we get her in motion, and her feet and legs and her skeletal quality down low is very, very good. Love her progression of width as we step to the 3/4, goes from a smooth shoulder to a big hip and pin set. Love that about her. We get out of her one more time and kind of let them be in their free and natural state. That one wants to start to open at the top side of her blade, kind of relax and duck her neck, makes her appear just a bit deeper there as we get off of her in terms of her chest. But if you want to switch 1 and 2, make it 2 and 1, I certainly wouldn't argue with you. Very, very excellent pair of U's there to go ahead and be at the top of this particular class. Young man ran into a buzzsaw, very, very deep waters here, but I think that one still offers a lot of good, hard handling, big in terms of her upper hip and pin set and stoutness at the surface. To me, we get him in motion one more time. A bit more upright in the way she utilizes her shoulder and her knee up front, and just a bit shorter striding comparatively to the ones in 1 and 2. But young man, you do an awesome job. Kind of just ran into a very deep class here. My compliments to you. The one here that we start, or get into a fourth here, excuse me, love that one. In regards to her top line, lower stifle shape is very good, and still very tall at the point of her shoulder. Just begins to deepen about her chest and flatten about her forerib when we step to the 3/4 here. But another one that's awfully good, seamless in terms of her top line, offers a lot of good to go home and lay down and have a very good one. The one that we round out our top 5 with, just kind of a no holes kind of you. Her chest sits in her good, her body shape is acceptable, and her stoutness of feature is very good at the surface. Just a bit plainer to the touch. Need to open her up and stouten her up there from behind in regards to her lower leg, but certainly a very high quality class. My compliments to all those exhibitors.
All right, results from class 14, cross breeding ewes. First was Raina Johnson, second, Jory Miller, third, Reese West, fourth, Camry DeSevi, fifth, Laramie Sexton, sixth, Elena Barger, seventh, Paisley Chadwell, eighth, Paige Farley, and ninth, Alex Meyer. Entering the ring, we will have our final class of the Blackface U Drive. Be class 15, it's a small class. So I need all of my firsts and seconds of the Blackface U Drive to be making your way up to the holding area. All of my firsts and seconds from the Blackface classes, you need to be making your way up to the holding area. At the conclusion of this heavyweight goat drive, we will pause until we select a champion and reserve champion Blackface breeding ewe before we start that grand drive.
Boy, another set of elite goats out here, and you study these guys, just super high quality in this front line, and some second place that stacked up in a very tough and high competitive class. You know, there's 3 or 4 out here that are very good, extremely well built, just super sound. Got all the bells and whistles, good modern built, modern made goats that are sound and big ribbed and got the muscle. And you know, you look at these guys and there's some differences amongst them, definitely. I think they're just really high quality livestock, and I've really enjoyed evaluating the goat show today. It's fun coming and doing a show where there's good ones. And I've had the opportunity the last few shows I've judged that run into a lot of super high quality goats, and it's fun for me because I was on the front end of this industry and just see it grow and what these breeders are doing and just the genetics and how far we've come and really in a short amount of time as far as a species And you look at livestock like this, I mean, winners back 25, 30 years ago, I mean, it was like sorting longhorn cattle. You just hope you found something that had some muscle and them legs were straight, and we've come a long way, and it's been cool watching the ride, because there's definitely some goats out here that we'll see in the Grand Drive that are super unique and super high quality. So great show. I've enjoyed it. We've got more to do, but want to commend everybody that's putting this deal on, because this is the greatest thing and greatest way we can raise our kids out through the stock show world. So nice set out here. We'll go name our heavyweight winners, our champion in reserve. We'll probably go 3 or 4 deep, maybe 5 on this division, and we'll come back in for our grand. Good set of goats, great set of kids. I really, really enjoy this set out here right now.
I need all of our firsts and seconds in our Blackface division. You guys should be in the holding area now. Firsts and seconds from the Blackface division needs to be in the holding area now. This is the final call. If you are first or second in the Blackface Breeding U division, you need to be in the holding area now. Final call, firsts and seconds to our class winners.
Well, we conclude our Blackface U show, and excited to see them all out. Very solid last class, though. I think our winner comes to us and does so rather handedly, just from what she puts together from a quality standpoint there from the side. Love her balance and attractiveness to the front 1/3 of her body, and then where she truly rolls away with the class is just her added pin width, her added stoutness there at the surface. Like that one to go ahead and win. You know, is she just a bit over conditioned there, over her forerib, possibly, and that's what kind of makes it just a nickel closer. But I think just from a quality standpoint and what she puts together going away, needs to win this particular class. So the one we have next, that one's awfully good in terms of her top line. Very, very adequate when we set her in motion on her feet and legs. Just wants to deepen there to the front part of her chest, get a bit shorter about her neck, and doesn't come with the overwhelming width and stoutness going away as our class winner, but a very, very solid place to land. Young lady's done a great job of bringing us a highly presented set of sheep all day. The one we have in third, long neck, awfully short-shouldered and shallow-chested up front, just runs out of gas in regards to her loin edge and pin width going away. Just need to see more of her from front to rear to go ahead and move her up. But awesome job by this young lady. I commend her for sticking with it with one that's not being as cooperative out here as she needs to be. The ones we round out the class with, stout-featured, awesome in terms of her top line, is the one in fourth. Maybe just a bit shorter neck and more conventional in the way she ties up her neck and shoulder up front, a bit plainer about her shape, but certainly one that's level top. Love her stoutness, just need to make her more expressive up top to go ahead and move her up. The one we round out our class with, very, very good in terms of her levelness of spine and design here from the side. Just wants to roll outside of her body wall too much for me, get a bit narrower going away, but certainly think a young lady brought us one that still is going to go and produce very, very well for her. Let's go ahead and give them all a big round of applause. Excited to have them all back out again.
All right, real quick, the results of our top 4 heavyweights in the market goat division. Our champion heavyweight is exhibited by David Vetter. Our reserve champion heavyweight exhibited by Echo Bartels. Third overall heavyweight, Sawyer Phipps, and fourth overall heavyweight, Sane Walker. Those 4 goats will be coming back in our grand overall drive at the conclusion of the cross-breeding U drive. So now entering the ring, we have our firsts and seconds from our Blackface Cross U drive. At the conclusion of this, we will move into our grand overall on both the U and Market Goat Show. Our final class of the Blackface Breeding Ewes results from Class 15. First was Wyatt Lang, second Lucinda Mares, third Molly Oakley, fourth Jory Maxon, and fifth Emily Seeger.
That's right. Kansas City talked forever, didn't they? Yeah. I mean, I showed all them barns myself and went back. Yeah. Like, I hadn't been to Denver since high school. Okay. Or since I judged in college. Oh, shit. So it had been, 30 years, and I go back and judge, and I'm like, it's the same goddamn shavings, I think. Yeah, you're probably right. Them old nasty, dirty barns. When we first started going to Kansas City, it came old dirt, that old dirty barn, they didn't even have a food to build. Yeah. And now there's, so I've seen 3 different barns in stock. They started out, they didn't even have no electrification. They had a little cement one, 2 stories, and all them brick buildings around there. But yeah, and now they're in, that new building will be no good. That's good. And the yard, under in the yard, there's never any power, Yeah. Every 10 in the yard are 2 stories. Every 10.
Just as a reminder, sheep and goat exhibitors, we will start with goat showmanship at 2 o'clock. So goat showmanship will start at 2 o'clock. We will do all of goat showmanship and then do sheep showmanship. We've got quite a few exhibitors that are showing both animals. So to avoid overlap and having to pause and to take a little bit of a easier time on these kids, we are going to do all of goat showmanship followed by sheep showmanship.
Well, before we go any further, let's go ahead and give all these Blackface U exhibitors a big round of applause. outstanding set of them, top to bottom, and some of those classes got awfully challenging to put together because they were so deep, 4, 5, 6 deep in each class in some of those, and it became very, very fun, but also at the same time very challenging to put together and sort through. I won't get too long-winded. We still got the Supreme Drive to go, and you guys are still probably tired, or getting pretty tired and sick and tired of me rambling and going on about it, but I think all these kids have done a tremendous job getting them shown, bringing a high-quality set of stock. To me, we're going to go ahead and pick 4 of them out here. I think Grand and Reserve, amongst a deep and high-quality set of them, 1 and 2 aren't particularly close for me. From there, it gets awfully challenging to put together, but I think 3 and 4 are also very high-quality females. If you would, go ahead and give them all a big round of applause. Once again, I'll get you 1 through 4.
Market lamb and doe exhibitors, just a reminder, those weight cards are due by 2 p.m. to the livestock office. So if you've got market lambs or does and have not turned in a weight card, get those filled out as soon as possible. All right, it is time for our grand market drive on the goat side. So I need all of my top individuals from my light, middle, and heavyweight divisions. Representing the lightweight division, I need Miles Rutledge, Simon Raff, and Molly Oakley. From the middleweight division, I need Zane Walker, Echo Bartels, David Vetter, and Wyatt Braithwaite. And from our heavy division, David Vetter, Echo Bartels, and Sawyer Phipps. Results from our champion Blackface breeding drive. Our champion is exhibited by Isabella Tim, reserve champion Haley Beard. Our 3rd overall Blackface breeding ewe is exhibited by Raina Johnson, and our 4th is Jory Miller. Again, we will do the grand drive of the breeding ewes at the conclusion of the market goat drive. So those of you that are coming up for the Supreme Ewe Drive, just be patient with us as we select our top 5 market goats. As we select our top 5 on both sides here, we would ask that those top 5 head over to the backdrop to see Heidi and take those backdrop pictures. We're going to let the goats take their top 5 pictures before we go to the ewes. So make sure you get those taken, and then we will start our showmanship. So again, got our market goat drive here, and we will not start showmanship until we finish the breeding ewe drive. Want to take one more opportunity to introduce our judge here on the goat side, Mike Harbor from Gatesville, Texas. His wife, Connie, and their sons, Trey and Tristan, own and operate Harbor Livestock. He's been raising show goats for 30 plus years, and goats in clublands has been a lifelong endeavor for him. Whether it's showing or judging, he's judged Louisville, Denver, and various state fairs. He comes to us today with a lot of experience and expertise when it comes to animals, but really appreciate the way that he's visited with our young people here today. Really lucky to have Mike join us. If we could give one more opportunity to thank him and the job he's done today.
Well, it's been a fun day evaluating the goats and working with these great young people. Just phenomenal set of goats, and I've really enjoyed working with you guys, and just the quality that you brought out here in the ring hasn't disappointed me at all. I think we get here in our drive, and you look at this front lineup, and they're very similar in their silhouette, their design. I think, you know, today, if you've watched me evaluate them and been truthful to kind of what we're selecting here, rib shape, bone, structure, muscle, you know, we try to wrap all that. We're raising meat goats, you know, but yeah, we got to throw the style and eye appeal and the look of a show goat in here. All these guys got product in them. They got muscle on that skeleton, and you study them individually and just what they bring out here in the ring in terms of width, dimension, and just those things that, you know, as I analyze these goats, you know, I'm drawn to those that are really hard to breed and create, and in terms of that design and that look, and I just admire what some of these, you know, a lot of these breeders have done. I was talking to a guy last night about a buck, and I said, you know, it doesn't matter where you live. There's good goats all over this country now, and, you know, years ago you can find them in Texas, and that was about it, and now they're just everywhere. You can raise them in Montana, you can raise them in Laredo, Texas, you can raise them wherever and sell them online, and I get opportunity to evaluate livestock around the country, and it's awesome because it's the quality's everywhere. You know, I was in Arkansas about a month ago at that Arkansas Youth Expo, and that was the stoutest Grand Drive lineup I think I've ever sorted, and I didn't expect that going out there. Just really good goats everywhere. I think we'll get back to these right here, and you look at him, the Livestock champion. Really cool design. He's got a tremendous silhouette to him. Props up extremely nice. We get him on the move in this Grand Drive lineup. Maybe in the one that draws to you when he's on the move, but I really appreciate the way this one's built. Just as far as his rib and his look and his design, very modern in his makeup and the way he's put together. The black paint, we talked to him in division, just super blown apart. And his color just very deceiving. You get up over the top of this guy, and he is all there. You know, I knocked him for being maybe a little short flank to flank, but heck, that's probably the color pattern in that belt. I mean, we've raised a few like that and shown a few, and it's always like, damn, I wish he was longer sighted. But you get him out here, and you really study that guy for what he is, and measure that, and look at him, and just how shallow and round and good kneed. And I mean, this guy puts a lot of things together, and he dang sure don't disappoint you when you touch him. Big rack, wide loin, big stifle. This one's all there. The heavyweight, this guy, I got to be a little honest with you, I didn't catch him right off the bat, and he propped him up, and I looked back, and I was like, wow, where'd that one come from? Really cool silhouette in this one. Like, I'm not a fan of heavies, but I'm kind of a fan of this one. Really cool silhouette. You step back here, and it's like, man, I would show one like that. We're done showing. But I'd love to get backed up and fed one like that, because he is shallow-chested. He's deep-flanked. This guy's got tons of power. You know, just one that's really cool for a heavyweight go. Yeah, he's a heavy, and he's getting a little more mature. When you put him on the move, he's maybe not as cool-looking as the middle, but this guy is extremely well-built, and just one that commands my attention when this young man gets him showed, propped up, and set up right there. I like for him just to be a little neater packaged when he's out there and just moving around on his own. Some of that has to do with his age, I'm sure, and just being a tick looser in his construction. But I think a really outstanding set of goats in our Grand Drive. We'll go name our champion. We'll step back, study for reserve. We'll talk to them a little bit. We got all day, so we aren't going to rush through this. But again, I thank the invitation to be here. Hopefully those of y'all in the stands can figure out kind of what I like, whether you agree with me or not. I try to be consistent and true to what I do. Just give everybody a good, honest evaluation and sort the goats and not the people. So good set of goats out here. Let's give them a nice round of applause. We'll go name our grand. Well, we bring that reserve middle, super high quality one here. You know, we got done with that division. I thought, man, it's going to be, you're going to have to bring a really good one to get around that pair. That pair is high quality. You know, they're different, but they're both very good. And you look at this guy, super smooth, great silhouette, you know, just everything. Ideally, me personally, I'd like to put a touch more power in this one. But hey, this guy's built really good. Like, they're hard to make and hard to create. We get back to that heavy, and I just step back and look at that one. Man, I love his silhouette. Extremely cool goat. We'll go name our reserve and our third overall, and then we'll find two more after that.
fun. It'll be kind of fun.